everyone. I'm Richard Keck, and this is All Things Fantasy Football, and I'm joined today by Dylan Berge. And today we're going to do the playoff preview for the Losers Bracket, or I'm sorry, the Losers League Dynasty League. This is the first season for that league, so this is the first set of playoffs. 12-team league. We have 6 teams making the playoffs, 6 teams making the Losers Bracket. And what do you think about the league so far for the first year, Dylan?
Honestly, a little disappointed. I mean, it's been going pretty good, but we did have quite a few people kind of just, ignore their teams part way in. So it kind of, I felt like hurt the league. But like you said, it's the first year. A lot of these people are learning how the dynasty works. I'm still learning how dynasty works. So I mean, all in all, though, I am pretty happy with the way it went, but at the same time, a little disappointed because I feel like there could have been some better matchups. But
I think
you
it'll
know,
be better going forward. It's better to find out year one if somebody doesn't have that interest, because I've got a list of people a mile long that we can get in to take over a couple teams. So I think it'll get better year 2 and year 3. But I agree with you. There's definitely, especially a couple teams that just even from the early stages of the league were having really good seasons and yet still not putting in lineups. It was kind of odd. Once you pay your money, even if you're not interested, I'd still want to ride out that season before I decided I wasn't going to play anymore. So
right.
don't want to throw money down the toilet. But I definitely agree with you there. I think year 2, we definitely can make a few changes, and whether it's people playing in the league, a couple little rule changes here and there or whatever. But year 2 is where we add the taxi squads, the rookie drafts, making salary cap, like all the stuff that we've done in the other formats of this variation of this league. So it's going to definitely require a little bit more people getting involved. So if those people aren't ready to get involved, we'll find the people that are. So let's get to the playoff brackets for this year. Let's start off with the losers bracket. We're not going to spend too much time on the losers bracket because after all, these people are not winners. So they did not make the championship bracket, but we're going to definitely touch on a couple teams, especially the ones that were pretty much borderline of getting in. But for the first couple matchups, these are the play-in matchups. We've got I'm Coming Out. That's Rydall's team against Welcome to the D. And that Shutt's team has been pretty terrible throughout the year. He hasn't had much, but he does have some draft picks coming into next year. So hopefully the rebuild starts in the rookie draft.
No, yeah, he had. I don't even know why he did it. He had a hell of a team, and then what was it? A few weeks ago, he traded you Christian McCaffrey. I understand, dude's been hurt this year, but I
Yeah.
mean, I just don't understand why he just kept trading all his pieces away. I mean, he's left with like Julio Jones and Rashad Penny and I mean Le'Veon Bell. That's what his team looks like. I
Right.
mean,
He's loaded up at draft picks, and it is going to be hard for a lot of these teams. If you think about it, there's only a couple teams under the cap going in, after this first initial draft we did. So there's going to be some players that are going to get thrown back, and he's going to have a lot of cap room. So,
right, yeah, he has only had $140 out of the 215, and
and
looks
that's
like he
without cutting players like Bell, who's not going to play. So, I mean, he'll probably be way below that even. So, any of the big name guys that go in, he's definitely going to be in line to get those players in the auction portion next year. But for this matchup this year, I don't see any way that Rydall's team doesn't win it with just Justin Jefferson alone.
that's true. But I mean, look at the teams this year though. They've kind of crapped the bed too. I mean, I know Jefferson hasn't, but looking at the rest of his people, I mean, he's got Kelvin Ridley, Sterling Shepard. So I mean, I guess he
Right.
could just start Justin Jefferson against Julio Jones and he'd still win. But
Right. All right, we'll go to the second matchup. I mean, before we go to that, do you see any way that Shutt takes the early win and moves on in the losers bracket? No, I don't think so either. Second matchup, we've got Wiggy Wiggy against the Fresh Prince of Hilaire. I believe that's Jackson's team.
oh my
And
gosh,
and Wiggy's been hurting all year. He doesn't have a terrible roster, and neither does the Fresh Prince of Hilaire. If I remember correctly, doesn't he have Dalvin Cook and Kamara?
yes,
So I mean,
I did.
The fact that that team's sitting down here in the as the 4 seed as a play-in game in the losers bracket's kind of amazing to me with those players. But I mean, they both did have injuries throughout the year.
Yeah, that looking at Jackson's team just really quick, like you said, he has Cook, he has Kamara, he also has CH, who I know has been hurt, but I mean, still. Then you look at his wide receivers, and I mean, AJ Brown, freaking Kendrick Bourne actually was doing something. He has Mike Evans, and I'm not sure what Jackson's record is, but I think he's like 2-12 or something, or
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's 3-11.
three. Yeah, with that team, he is three and
That's great.
eleven.
Well, the good news for him is you had a bad season, 3-11. You've got that stacked roster right there. Some of those players you're not going to be able to keep with the increase in salary for next year, but for the most part, you should be able to keep the core in place. You're going to have that stacked roster, and now you're going to get a top 3 or 4 draft pick. So I mean, he's in a good spot for there. What's Wiggy got on his roster that might threaten this team? Because I mean, they're going to have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they're going to have Kamara, they're going to have Cook all this week, so it's going to be a tough out for Wiggy this week in this matchup.
Um, Looking at his team, I mean, he's got Tom Brady. I mean, dude throws 3 to 5 touchdowns a game. And then, but running back, I mean, he's got the big name Barkley, but he hasn't done anything the past few years. He's got Miles Sanders, but he's questionable. He's actually shown up the past few games that he's played. Then wide receiver, about all he has is Jamar Chase, which he's like a Justin Jefferson. You know, he can score you that 20 to 30.
Right. So he's actually got a lineup that could produce some points. I kind of like the Fresh Prince of Hilaire in this week's matchup, especially with Cook playing the way he is, and you know Kamara has a game under his belt coming back, and even Clyde Edwards-Hilaire has been pretty decent. Do you see who do you like in that matchup of the Hilaire and Wiggy?
Just because Wiggy talking so much shit all the time, I'll have to take Jackson in that matchup. He came in saying how he's going to run this league, and well, look at that. You're in the toilet bowl, bud. I don't know what to tell you.
The 2 teams I got to buy this week, we're looking at Show Me the Money, which is Jared Barton, and Bergie's wife can sit on my face, which is a bizarre team name. Who is that? That's Friesen, right? Friesen's team there. Both those teams were borderline playoff teams. In fact, a couple weeks ago, Show Me the Money was leading the division. So our division was very, very close this year. I think every team in our division at one point led the league or led the division. So it was definitely a bounce back and forth. Do you see either of these teams, the play-in teams, knocking off either of these 2 teams to potentially get to the finals of the losers bracket?
Just looking over Barton's team real quick. I mean, he's just riddled with injuries, you know. The only quarterback he's got is Cousins. Cousins hit and miss. His running backs are right now just Montgomery.
Oh wow.
Wide receiver, real quick. I mean, he's actually pretty strong at wide receiver. Amari Cooper, D Hop, Christian Kirk, Debo Samuel. So I mean, he had a good team. It was just
the injury to Debo down the stretch is probably what did him in. I think he also has the tight end for the Niners there too, Kittle.
Oh yeah, Kittle.
Yep, Kittle. So yeah, it was literally Debo probably cost him a little bit, and that's the story of the year has been the injuries. I still think Show Me the Money can beat out the 3-6 winner, and I'm coming out and welcome to the D. Bergie's wife's team there. He's had a good run. Borderline just missed the playoffs, and it came down to a tiebreaker for total points. Otherwise, he'd be in the playoffs. But I think he might have his hands full with the Fresh Prince team as long as he's got all his guys back. So my prediction is Show Me the Money playing Fresh Prince for the title game of the losers bracket. I don't know where you stand on that.
Oh, totally agree. I mean, I would watch out for Friesen's team because dude started out 0-4.
Yeah,
and
he did start 0-4.
Finished 8-6, so he only lost 2 more games for that whole season.
Yep, I started 1-4 and finished 9-5. That was a pretty good run too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But
it's definitely
like you said, I definitely think that. I mean, barring any setbacks, because I heard COVID's real hot right now.
Right.
I do think that, like you said, it will be Jackson and Barton's team there, but don't sleep on Friesen's team either. He could definitely win that toilet bowl matchup there.
And let's not also forget the other variable is whether or not people put in a lineup. Just so you guys know, anybody in the losers bracket, this does not affect the draft position. So not putting in a lineup doesn't help you at all. It actually just costs you the toilet bowl title. So you definitely want to put your lineups in. But if they, Jackson a couple times probably hasn't. So if we're not putting in lineups, you're not going to win games. That's just the way that bounces. So all right, let's move on to the good guys, the winners bracket, and we'll start with the 3-6 matchup there, and that's Upton effed you up as the 3 seed, winner of his division, playing against Low Expectations and Steck's team, a team that started out really hot, was unstoppable for a minute. Was one of the higher scoring teams in the league, was undefeated for a while, led our division, and then, stopped putting in lineups. Upton was on fire, tearing it up, and he lost a few down the stretch, which cost him the bye week for the week. So 2 teams that started off really good, both on a little bit of a downside. Where do you see this game playing out to?
It all depends, in my opinion, for Upton's team. I think Upton's team's going to win, but it all depends on Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. I get it, the dude's a great quarterback, but this year the Chiefs, they just haven't looked good. It looked like
Yeah,
they got their stuff together, but they were playing against the Raiders, and we all know that the Raiders really aren't
right.
anything.
Ever since Gruden left, they have not been playing well at all. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
the other part of this though is while Upton has Mahomes, Low Expectations has Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. So it's kind of a catch-22. You've got to hope your other guys, and we all know the strength of Upton's team is the quarterback position. So if his quarterback is feeding the players that are on the other team's roster, this isn't really a good matchup for him.
no. Yeah, that's a good point. I was just looking at her roster and I forgot that she had them. But looking at her roster also, if Mahomes has a bad game, that's pretty
Right.
much all she has. Because the rest of, I mean, she got Jarvis Landry, and he's actually picked it up the past few weeks. I'm kind of bummed I traded him away in another league, but looking at Upton's roster too, I mean, he's got Leonard Fournette, Damian Harris at running back, but then when you go to his wide receivers, he's sitting there with Devontae Parker, Russell Gage, Brandon Cooks. I mean,
Brandon
so
Cooks hasn't been terrible.
no, and like you said too, I honestly think it's going to come down to what Patty Mahomes does. It's either going to be Upton's game because all the other players
Right.
do
It's
good,
almost to
Patty
his
Mahomes
advantage for
sucks, or
Mahomes to have a bad game. So
yeah,
it almost if he has a good game, you've at least kind of cushioned your losses a little bit, and hope he doesn't maybe throw them to those 2 guys. But if he has a bad game, you can overcome it with the rest of your horses on your roster. So
oh yeah.
Upton definitely is got the upper hand, but it's still kind of a catch-22 when your guy's throwing to the other team's receivers. In the 4-5 matchup, we've got you sitting in there at the number 4 spot with Back That Pass Up, playing Hung Like Hernandez and Barton Jr., who is another team who's on fire in the last few weeks. Even in a loss a couple weeks ago to me, still put up a ton of points. He's been one of the higher scoring teams lately, and you guys are going to have quite a battle. What do you think is going to go on in that game?
I'm a realist, so I'm gonna be honest. I want to sit here. I want to talk shit. I want to smash the Bartons because they're the Barton brothers. That's what you got to
This
do.
is your first video. If you want to trash Barton and talk to him, you can trash him and talk to him right here, and he can't do anything about it.
Well, the thing is I just don't have the team to talk the trash, I guess, really. I mean, my best running back right now, barring Mixon, being out again, is going to be Josh Jacobs. They're literally my 2 running backs. I got Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs. I traded for
What's the
Michael
story on
Carter.
Mixon for this week?
I guess it's still not looking too hot because I mean you saw yesterday. I don't know if it was his neck still or if it was the illness, but they just couldn't get anything going with him. And then when it comes to my wide receivers, I mean, I've got Diggs, but I mean, Josh
Diggs
Allen's
has
looking
definitely been
great.
having a down year. Diggs,
But yeah,
I took Diggs with my first round draft pick in a redraft league, and how I snuck into the playoffs in that league is a miracle because all the players I took are not having the years that you thought. I took Diggs, I took Kelsey, I took Waller. In my first three, I was running double tight ends because it's more of a touchdown based league. So I definitely feel you on that. Diggs is not he put up the yards, he's not put up the catches, and he was never a big touchdown guy to begin with. I think he only had 8 in his big year last year, but he's definitely having a fallen off year from last season.
and that's what's killing me in the other league when it comes to Josh Allen too. Like yesterday he put up 41 points, but the week before that he put 14.
Hmm.
So I mean, but anyways, back to this league. I mean, I'm sitting pretty good. Other than that, at wide receiver, I mean, I got the Godwin. I mean, who would have thought Renfro? I traded him in the
Yeah.
other league for a second round, and people were like, "What are you wasting your second round for?"
Nope, I knew better. I told you that. I thought that was a guy that I in one league I did not want to let go, and I let him go just because we didn't have a taxi squad yet, and I just didn't have the roster space for him. So I ended up trading him away, and I wasn't happy about it. What's Hung like Hernandez matchups look like for this week against you?
Man, that guy. Let me tell you. Anyways, I mean, he's got his Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the dude's just a monster, like he is every year. Looks like they got their stuff together.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson. I mean, you've got him in the other league. He actually had a really good game.
yeah,
I
yep.
mean, I know it wasn't
No way
against.
he's not starting Rodgers though. The Wilson's not even going to matter in
Oh
this game.
yeah.
He's not starting Rodgers.
Then you go to his running backs, and I guess he's kind of in the same boat I am. He's literally just got Najee Harris. Don't sleep on that guy, but I mean, even when Pittsburgh looks terrible, that dude's putting up freaking
Yeah, he's getting in
20,
the end zone.
25
Somebody's got to
points.
score for. Somebody's got to score for him. Ben Roethlisberger has been so terrible that he can't go down the field. So it's either been Deontay Johnson or it's been Najee Harris almost every single time. Occasionally he'll go like 20 yards downfield with a wobbler that'll fall into Claypool's hands. But for the most part, it's Johnson and Najee Harris, and Ben Ben's time's about up, I think, and I think all these players are all going to get better once you get a better quarterback in there playing with them. But Najee's going to score the rest of the way out because they're going to hand the ball off. They're going to want to run it as much as possible, and then he's a good pass catcher as well. So they're going to throw it to him out of the backfield.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, who's going to replace Big Ben? Those backups just look between Rudolph and Haskins. It's
We haven't seen a lot of Haskins though with the Steelers. Though. I think you got to give him a shot at some point. But the reason they're not is because the Steelers are in playoff contention. But I think before you close the book on Haskins, he's going to have to get a shot with receivers like Claypool and Deontay Johnson. You got to get a chance to see how well he can do before you shut the door on him completely.
that is fair.
The
He
other
runs
guy, I mean, we've seen enough of him to know that he's nothing special and time to let go. Um, so that's who do you think comes out of that game? I'll let you pick before I pick my winner.
Um, I feel
Doesn't he
like we're
also
gonna.
have he also has Cordell Patterson too, don't he?
Oh, son of a bitch, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. Like I was gonna agree with you because I'm pretty sure I know who you're picking. I mean, Thielen, yeah, he's got
Well, Thielen's been
McLaurin,
hurt.
he's
Thielen's been
got
hurt.
Boyd, he's got Thielen, he's got Patterson, he's got Waddle, he's got Waller if he comes back. He's
He's
got
not.
Ertz.
I don't think Waller's going to be back this week, so that might be a helper for you to not have Waller.
I'm no, I hate to count myself out because I'm not that guy, but like I said, I'm a realist. Looking at his team, if they all can play, and I know it's fantasy, but I know if they play, all his big guys there, I'm pretty sure I'm down and out. I can't rely on just Mixon and Godwin.
Right. Well, that's my pick is also hung like Hernandez, but I think it might be closer in what you think. I mean, you put up some points this week. He's put up some points the last couple weeks too, so you definitely have the horses that could hang in there with him. I think this is the best game of the 4 games that we got going this week. So it's could be a nail biter. I mean, we'll find out in the early games right off the get go. But my pick is also hung like Hernandez, but probably not in in as bad a fashion as what you think might happen. So
If
looking to our
Prescott
top two.
didn't shit the bed, I think I'll be good.
Right.
But if Prescott scores his 12 to 13, I think it's game over.
Going to our top two seeds. These are the two hottest teams in the league. My team is coming in at the number 2 seed, finishing 9-5 and winning 7 of my last 8. Is also number 2 in scoring, and then that will take on the winner of the low expectations and the Upton team, and then you have Rathbun and his Bun in the Oven team, the hottest team in the league. 6 of the 14 games this year, he's been the highest scorer in the league. So that's pretty impressive. He's had it 6 times. I've had it 3 times. That amounts to 9 out of the 14 regular season weeks. What's Rathbun's roster look like?
This dude, he's been, I want to say he's probably been doing it longer than you, because I'm not bringing age into it, but I'm
He has
pretty sure
definitely
you're
not
older
been
than
doing it
that
longer than
one.
me. He's been doing it a
But
while, but he has definitely not been doing it longer than me. I was doing it, and he wasn't even born yet. I guarantee it.
we came into this league like, I'm not very old, but I've been doing fantasy for quite a while. Dynasty's all new. So, it was like Barton, me, you, Rathbun. Like there was like, well, Upton. There was like 5 out of 12 people that kind of knew what they were doing. But this guy, he just came in and he just picked everybody up, and I don't know how he got all these people with the amount of money we had to spend. I
Right.
mean, his
He was
quarterback,
patient. He was patient. That's what he was.
yeah, he's got Josh Allen. Then he's got Eckler, Elliott. He has Henderson. I mean, I know Ronald Jones isn't the Ronald Jones from last year since Fournette took over, but got Ronald Jones, and you look at his wide receivers. He's got Claypool. He's got Devontae Adams. Cooper Kupp. Who would have thought Cooper Kupp would have had the
I
year
know.
that he's having this year? I mean, I
Unbelievable.
know he's a good wide receiver. Don't take that the wrong way, but looking at our scoring right here, dude almost has 400 points, where Devontae Adams has 252 points.
It's crazy, isn't it? Just absolutely crazy. So anyway, you see the winner of your game and Hung Like Hernandez getting by Rathbun to get to the title game? No?
No, no,
No?
I was looking at it and I saw who I mean, against you, I'm not saying your team's a cakewalk either, but I was like, hey, I was like, I got this. But when I saw that I was going to be matched, if I win, or if I was going to match up against Rathbun here, I was like, there's
Yeah,
no way. Like we were talking
he's
about
definitely been the
earlier.
most dominant team and scary team this week. Ironically, I wanted to see how my scores matched up with him in a week to week basis, and Rathbun and I would be 7-7 if we played each other every week. So
Oh wow.
hopefully I can get by my matchup and maybe get a shot at him at the title. In fact, I beat him in my lone game this year when we played. So it would be nice to get another shot at him. What about the winner of low expectations at Upton? You think they have a shot against my roster?
If Upton wins, yes. The only reason why I'm saying that, okay, if Stack, I'm not calling you out if you watch this, but you know that I have messaged you almost every week, like, hey girl, set your lineup up. I know you're having some issues, so I helped out too. You told me who you wanted to play. But just going off the way things are going, Upton's team's gonna win. And then I want to see Upton's team win just because I want to watch a good matchup of both people starting their lineups. And I think that would be a really good game between
Right.
looking at your roster and going off his roster.
Jonathan Taylor's been the savior for my roster, the absolute savior. That guy came on like a house of fire. It's probably we'll be voting on that in all the leagues here today. I'll be putting the polls out, but Jonathan Taylor's definitely got to be fantasy MVP for the year. That guy's been an absolute monster.
Another
Um,
guy at our scoring, he's almost at 400 points.
yeah, monster player. Our scoring is more of a PPR format compared to like our other leagues we're in. That's more of a half point. So this one's definitely a full point. This is the league where you got to have the receivers. You got to have backs too, but the receivers are the ones you get. The hot receivers, you can get a win pretty easy. So
Okay.
I like my chances in my matchup, but again, I think I lost to both of them. I'm not sure, not exactly
Really?
sure, but I'm pretty sure I lost to Steck for sure, and I'd have to double check whether or not I lost to Upton or not. But I'm fairly certain I lost to both these teams. So could have a matchup in the next round. So that pretty much we'll figure out. Yeah, my guess is me and Rathbun in a battle in the finals, and let's just see what happens. But you never know. These other four teams didn't make the playoffs for nothing, so they didn't get in the playoffs just to fold over and let me and Rathbun roll to the finals. So anything can happen in that outing. So, what is your prediction for the finals?
Barring COVID setbacks, injuries, I'm honest. I'm going with what you said. I think it's going to be a Miami Thunder versus Bun in the Oven matchup, Rathbun versus Keck here. And I mean, I out of all the matchups, I think that'd be probably one of the best high scoring matchups. Just looking at the teams, I mean, all the rest of our playoff teams have nothing to compete with what you guys have in store. You guys have the depth. We just have players that are hit and
Well,
miss each week.
and a lot of that is, I mean, not to take away from anybody else's team. A lot of that is injuries. Even in that trade for Christian McCaffrey, where I lost McCaffrey, I didn't have McCaffrey before, so my team is no different than it was before I got before I made the trade for McCaffrey. I didn't give up any players to get him. I gave up only draft capital. So my team is the same. I, knock on wood, have avoided the injury bug for the most part. I've had guys where I've been down for a few games. But for the most part, I didn't lose the big name players like many of the other rosters have lost in this league. Lost them in plenty of other leagues, but in this league, I've been the majority of the time pretty healthy. Aaron Jones was out for a bit. Kareem Hunt was out for a bit. Lost CD Lamb for a couple games, but nothing. I got them all back. All the horses are back. I've got a full roster heading into the playoffs. Rathbun's pretty much full go, so it's going to be a good push to the finals. I'm happy with this first year. Like you said, there's definitely room for improvement year two. We're bringing a whole new element to the league with year two stuff. A lot of these guys that have never been in this format like you have, they don't know what's coming. So we'll have a lot of fun in the off season. And thanks for doing this playoff preview with me. Maybe we'll get another video in before the end of the year. Maybe once we get to the finals or something, we can do a little more in depth on the two finals teams. We'll see what happens. But any parting words before we end this?
Just like you said, I mean, if y'all watch this, they're in the league right now. Like Keck said, it does get a whole heck of a lot more fun when you add in all the extras with the taxi squads, first rookie draft, bunch of trading, salary cap, trying to make it for real. I'd love if you guys would stay. But like Keck said in the beginning, just let us know. It doesn't have to be in the group text. You can just message me or Keck. We'll find somebody to take over your team. No big deal. But yeah, if we do a next video, this is a call out to both Bartons and Wiggins. I just want this matchup. It'd be me, Wiggins, both Bartons, and you, and I think we should all just go at each other.
That could be arranged. It's not that hard. We'd have a bunch of little video screens up here for the picture, but we definitely can get it done. So thanks for joining us today. For Dylan Burge, I'm Richard Keck, and this is All Things Fantasy Football. Thanks for listening, guys, and good luck in the playoffs.